All right, all right. Hello, folks. This is the Crypto Cowboy Show. And this is for the second week in January. So we're going to get into the news. So I'm sure you've heard now the Bitcoin ETF. That's all that we're talking about in the crypto space. So it happened yesterday. So now that it's happened, what next? What's going to happen? So stay tuned and we'll find out. All right, folks. So welcome again to the Crypto Weekly Show at the Crypto Cowboy Show here. So we're going to get right into it. So, of course, this is not financial advice. That's all we need to say there. All right, so let's take a look at the crypto market and find out what the heck's going on. So, well, it finally happened, right? We talked about this. 11 traditional financial institutions were granted the right to trade Bitcoin ETFs. And Bitcoin's price spiked up just a little bit, but it's now settled down around 46K, and it's just chilling right now, which we'll see what happens. But today, on the 11th, is the first day that the ETFs can be traded. So apparently, we've got a good $1 billion that were traded right off the bat in these ETFs. So it's really looking like a lot of liquidity is coming into the market. And if you're holding Bitcoin, it's going to look good. Price is going to start going up. So the crypto industry has been anticipating this for a very long time. And we can see now that the Bitcoin price has been creeping up slowly for about the last 6 months, just on the news and anticipation of these ETFs. So now that they're here, it's really going to be interesting to see what happens. Is Bitcoin price going to stay around where it is? Is it going to move up? Is it going to drop down? Interestingly enough, yesterday, ETH and today bounced up. So ETH now is waiting for the potential of the ETH ETF, which is going to be coming out sometime. We don't know exactly when, but it's interesting that now ETH's already bumping. And the narrative there might also be altcoins. We know now that as Bitcoin starts to continue to take this trajectory up higher, that it's going to raise all the altcoins up with it. And Ethereum, being the second largest crypto, probably is anticipating a move up in ETH also. So that's been interesting. All right, so today I'm going to show some more charts and some more information about why all of this hubbub about the Bitcoin ETF. Why is it such a big deal? Why do people want in, or why might they want in on Bitcoin? So we're just going to look at, in general, overall, what makes Bitcoin so special. So let's take a look here. So what this is the Bitcoin heat map. And what this shows is that as the line progresses into the blues, you've got, hold on here, grab my notes here. Yeah, you've got the light blue and the green. That's the pre-bull market. And as it goes into yellow, now we're talking the bull market. And when it gets to orange and red, well, that's when price gets really crazy. It gets really toppy and frothy, as they like to say. And it might be time to get out. So this is a good chart to look at. So you can see that we've been in the bear market back here in 2022 and, around here in 2023. And so we can see that this market is moving up, and now we're into this yellow. And so the question is, now that we've got the Bitcoin ETF, how far is it going to take? How long is it going to take before we get that shoot up? And is it, it almost looks like it's orangey right now, just before orange. So we're gonna see what this looks like in a minute. So here is the fear and greed index. So this is going to show us, where we are. And we can see, oh, it's funny now. On my screen, it looks blue, or on your screen, it looks blue. But really, once it's over 70, it's actually, so right in here, this is actually green. But it looks blue on this. But actually, you can see now that we've got extreme greed. So we're in 76. So we've got extreme greed. And that is telling us that people want to buy. People want to buy. And so it can go all the way up to 100. So we'll see, how far we got to go. But once it starts getting into that high green zone on this scale, and you can see at the bottom here, you're looking at the price. See here, the Bitcoin price, and we're up and we're entrenched in this green zone right here, which is telling us, and again, it's gray on probably on your screen, but it's actually green, which means that we're high in the greed, and that means people are buying. And you can see the price of Bitcoin starting to go up there. So that's also very fascinating. All right, so this next chart is basically just showing what Bitcoin has done this year. And you can see that in 2022, back here, we were down clearly in a bear market. And as 2023 moved in, pretty quickly, we started this really slowly gradual climb into a high price of Bitcoin. Now, we haven't reached the all-time high, which was back in 2021, which was around 69,000, but we're up 155%. That's pretty darn good for the year of 2023. So again, it just tells you Bitcoin is the best performing asset of all asset classes for the decade. So now we have this opportunity to be in a position that we've never been in before. We've already seen that Bitcoin is the best performing asset. Now we have a situation that we've never had before, which all this institutional money, with all these Bitcoin ETFs, with all this money that the financial advisors out there have all their clients with their portfolios, and they have not been in crypto for the most part, at least from the financial advisors. And so most people that aren't really into the crypto space, but they know that crypto's been doing pretty good, and this chart is what shows it. They're going to want to get into Bitcoin. And now the financial advisors have the ability to move their clients into Bitcoin through these Bitcoin ETFs, and you're going to see a lot of more liquidity. So we're in a situation that we've never been in before because we have so much built up liquidity that's going to be coming into the market, that's going to be moving this price up. So one of the interesting things is the question is Bitcoin price going to spike up? Are billions and billions of dollars going to be dumped in here right away and push the price right up? I don't think so. I think what's going to happen is we're going to see this slow, gradual uptick in the price over the long run now, because if you think about it, these traditional financial institutions, I mean, these 11 are fighting tooth and nail to get their customers, the most customers, to come into their Bitcoin ETFs. So we've got BlackRock and Fidelity and Valkyrie, and you've got ARK shares. So they're all fighting on fees. They've dropped their fees really pretty low because they want to entice people to get into these Bitcoin ETFs right away so they can get market share. So the question is, if they want people to move into these Bitcoin ETFs, most people that aren't in the crypto industry probably are thinking that Bitcoin is scary, that it's too volatile, it's too risky, and that's what the mainstream media has been painting the picture for the most part. So now that the ability for them to get in, they don't want the price of Bitcoin going up and down and up and down and up and down and fluctuating as much as it has. Again, from that last transition, from the last bull market down into the bear market, it dropped 70%. And now it's back up, and it's up 155% this year. But they want this slow, steady growth. So as much money and liquidity and power that these financial institutions have, they're probably going to find a way to keep the price of Bitcoin steady and steadily going up. So we may not see these big drops in volatility like we've seen before in Bitcoin, that it will drop 70%. We'll see. I actually kind of like it when it drops a little bit because I'm buying the dip. It's a lot cheaper to buy when it dips down. And we will still have some more dips eventually. And the question is it going to be 5%, 2%, 15, 20%? I don't know. We'll see moving forward. All right. Next, this chart shows the global liquidity. It's another tailwind of why Bitcoin and the whole crypto market, and actually any risk on assets, are going to go up. And that's because when there's more money in the system, there's more money to borrow to invest in. People are feeling that they're flush because they can borrow and that there's money in the system, and all risk assets go up first. And so again, you're going to have tech stocks, you're going to have Bitcoin and crypto go up. So we can see that liquidity in this orange line here is moving up, and that's just another great tailwind for us all in crypto and Bitcoin. All right, so what is altcoin season? Well, altcoin season is simply when do all the other cryptocurrencies in crypto move up versus Bitcoin. And right now, it's a Bitcoin dominant season for sure. And so it's Bitcoin season right now. And you can see here, right in here at this, I'm not sure what this number dictates, but it's just minus 25. and we're right in here. Of course, the price of Bitcoin, you can see here, it shows in, below 65. So we're still right there, but we're not in altcoin season yet because we need to get to this minus 75% right here before we can be in altcoin season, which basically means that money will start to move out of Bitcoin into altcoins. And so we're going to have to wait a little bit more, as you can see from this chart. But as Bitcoin gets up over 65 into the 70K range, we're going to see people starting to take profits. And when they take those profits, they're going to start moving them into different altcoins. And so that's the fun part about picking altcoin season, finding out what altcoins are you going to bet on. Because we know that Bitcoin and Ethereum are long-term plays. They're going to go up and they're going to maybe come down a little bit, but for the long run, they're a really, really good play. But the altcoins, you never really know. They're going to go up and down. Some are going to go completely out of business. A lot of them will. There's over 10,000 cryptocurrencies out there, and most of them are going to go down and be non-existent. But you're going to have some winners. And so the question is, how can you pick it and who can you pick? So before the prices start to really go up, you want to get in. You want to pick your horses, if you will. So, you've got the big ones like out of the L1 chain. So you've got Cardano, you've got Ethereum, Solana, Avalanche, you got Solana. Did I say that? I don't know. And so it's Sui and all these different layer ones. You got the layer twos like Polygon, you got Optimism, you got Base, you've got Linnea. You've got just all these layer twos that now sit on top of the layer ones, and they make crypto much faster, cheaper as far as gas fees go. And so they're very big plays too. Other than that, then you've got a bunch of other players that are trying to create new projects, new technologies in the crypto space. And the question is, which ones are going to win? Which ones are going to lose? So as alt season comes in, they're all going to start moving up. And are the winners going to take the whole lead? Who are you going to bet on? So that's going to be interesting. So altcoin season is fun, and it's coming up. All right, here's another interesting slide. It talks about the correlation between NASDAQ and Bitcoin. You can see that it's widening. So both are rising. The NASDAQ is rising, you can see, but Bitcoin is rising much, much faster. So generally, they are still tied together because they're riskier assets, but clearly people are believing that Bitcoin is a lot more value for them, and it's starting to spread out. So this we'll keep looking at this chart because it lets us know if we are outperforming the market in crypto. So far, we definitely are. All right, so here's the Fed funds rate. So this is just showing that you've got the Fed who's going to be cutting rates here, another tailwind. So we are anticipating rate cuts. When rate cuts happen, that's when there's more liquidity in the system. They'll start to print more, and this is a big deal. So rates fell to about 4.6, and some are expecting this 50 basis point cut somewhere around March. And if we have that, it'll be the first rate cut we've had in years. And so this will push prices up. Now, I noticed that today, I think inflation numbers came out and they were a couple of basis points higher than they thought they would be. So this is critical because if inflation isn't coming down, I don't see how the Fed can really cut rates with inflation going up again. But there's going to be a lot of pressure for the Fed to cut rates because it's an election year. And in all election years, they flood the system with money. They cut the interest rate so that the economy starts to boil up and start looking better. And that's just the way it always is in election years. So this is going to be something also really, really interesting for us to keep an eye on. All right, so this next chart is showing, interestingly enough, as much as the government doesn't seem to really like crypto, at least this Biden administration, the government holds a ton of Bitcoin. They have basically 8.3 billion in Bitcoin, and that's up 5 billion. So we're talking this federal government that what are they doing with this Bitcoin? Between November 2020 and 22, authorities in 3 separate actions altogether disclosed seizing 207,000 Bitcoin tied to the dark web like Silk Road. Now, this is back in the days early days of crypto, when there were a lot of criminals using Bitcoin because it was a new asset class that didn't think it could be tracked. And so the government did bust them. They've seized a lot of this Bitcoin. Of course, now a lot of criminals don't use Bitcoin anymore. They don't use crypto because crypto can be traced. It's a public blockchain. It's decentralized. It's completely transparent. You can see where the money's coming from and where it's moving to, which you can't in the traditional fiat and traditional finance areas because you don't know where that money's coming. There's nothing that tracks it. But crypto, it does. The blockchain holds every transaction in crypto. And so you can track this. So criminals aren't using it much anymore. But you still have the government with all this Bitcoin. Now, if they were to dump all this Bitcoin in the market, there'd be a lot of sell pressure. So a lot of people watch this just to make sure that the government doesn't dump and try to sell a whole bunch of Bitcoin. And if they're keeping it, well, then that's just the supply being reduced, which means that the more liquidity and more people that want to come into crypto with a small supply, well, if you've got high demand and low supply, we know what happens to the price. It goes up. All right. Now, this is kind of a busy chart. Let me try to explain this to you. This is basically showing, though, the asset classes that had the best performance and the best ranking. And you can see here in 2023, Bitcoin was up 160%. Last slide said 157, so we're really close here. But the second one then was S&P 500, and with the S&P growth and the S&P 500. And then down here, you've got gold at 13%. Now, look at this, though, across the years here. So you've got, what was the number one producing asset in 2022? It was oil. Interesting. But in 2021, Bitcoin. 2020, Bitcoin. 2019, Bitcoin. Then you had S&P in 2018, 2017, Bitcoin, 2016, Bitcoin. So not a bad chart to show how powerful Bitcoin is, how it's the most successful asset. It's been around in a long, long time. And for people to not understand this is just, it blows my mind away. But I think now that traditional finance is in the game, a lot more people are going to be waking up to this. Also, take a look at gold. Gold's been up there, but look at Bitcoin. I mean, would you rather have gold or Bitcoin? I'd rather have Bitcoin. All right. So I want to also, in some of my videos, I want to talk about each of the areas in the crypto ecosystem. So we talked about pretty much altcoins, Bitcoin, and what I consider the blue chips being Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then all altcoins, and what's happening in the market. Because Bitcoin and Ethereum, the blue chips, drive the whole crypto market. So you got to keep an eye on what's going on with Bitcoin because it lets you know what's going on with the whole entire market. But there's also amazing, fascinating areas in crypto. DeFi, decentralized finance, is another great area. And so there's a lot in there. And so I'm going to start having more videos on specifically what can you do in decentralized finance. But one of the easiest things you can do, the simplest things you can do, is you can stake your crypto assets. And so Ethereum has been generally a coin that you can buy, and then you can stake it, which means that you set it aside and you basically give it to these validators that then use it to help secure the Ethereum network, but you earn an interest. And so typically in the days past, you had to have like a whole 10 or 15 Ether, and that could be, $50,000 that you had to secure to become a validator, and you could earn interest on that ETH. Well, this whole asset class popped up a couple of years ago called liquid staking, which basically means that all I've got to do is swap some of my Bitcoin or a stable coin into this liquid protocol, which you can see down here on the bottom. One is Lido, one is Rocket Pool, Frax, and then there's a whole bunch of other ones. And so what they do is they pool all of our Ether together. They give us a token. It's basically like a receipt. So in Rocket Pool, it's R ETH, and I think for Lido, it's ST ETH. And so if I have $500 worth of ETH, I deposit that into Lido, I will have a receipt that now I have $500 of ST ETH. And it's a great way, a very simple way. You just have to go into Uniswap and you basically just swap your ETH for STETH or RETH, and you can earn around 5-6%. And it's a very, very simple way to do this. And so this liquid staking with this chart shows is just how big this is becoming, because this is fairly new. Within the last year and a half, 2 years, the ability to make it so easy to stake your ETH. And you can see that Lido's got this really big handle on a lot of the staked ETH out there. Rocket Pool, which is the one that I use, is next. Got a little bit of share in there, but very, very easy. I'm also going to talk about next time what's now called restaking, which means that you can take that receipt of your ST ETH that you have because you've staked your ETH. I now have a receipt of STETH. I can take that and stake that into another protocol and earn interest on top of that. And so this is brand new. And so this is going to be in 2024. It's going to be a new area that a lot of people are going to be looking into. So we'll talk about that in some future videos. But I wanted to talk a little bit about DeFi. I want to talk about what's going on in the DeFi world in every episode. Here's another area of DeFi that's really big in 2024. It's real world assets. So here you're talking about taking assets that typically aren't in crypto and basically tokenizing them. So over the past year, you've seen about $74 billion being now pushed into this real world asset tokenization. And it's been dramatic. And so what this is taking assets like real estate, or you could take like wine or art, and you create a token out of that. And now you can move that token. So that token represents your ownership and the value of whatever that asset is. And so now I could trade that to somebody else, just that token. And now they have that ownership, which is recorded onto the blockchain. So there's no discrepancies of who owns what. And now that new owner owns that. And so you can do that with any real assets. And really what this is an NFT. It's the concept of NFTs, but now in just crypto, instead of NFTs just being crypto and art, basically, now we're moving that into things like real estate, into art, into wine, and physical art like Mona Lisas and so on, and real estate, which I think is going to be really big, and also debt. So meaning that you can go to your broker now and get a money market fund, and you can do better than you can with a bank. So you can get 4 or 5% with a money market fund. Those are now coming into crypto. So you can basically get a money market fund, but now it's a token inside crypto on the blockchain. And that's becoming really, really big. So instead of money market funds with your bank, you'll be able to do money market funds and also be able to buy. You can even buy government securities, so like T-bills that are now on chain in a crypto token. So decentralized finance, which is the traditional financial world being moved over into crypto. That's what DeFi is. And there's lots and lots of really exciting new ways to take advantage of crypto in a decentralized world where you can earn a much, much better interest rate because there's no middleman. There's nobody to hover over and make sure that these transactions get approved or trusted because the code does it for you. So we'll be talking a lot more about DeFi in other episodes also. So NFTs, I want to talk a little bit about NFTs in the metaverse too. We're going to show you. This is basically just, I wanted to put this in here because blockchain gaming is going to be another hot topic in 2024. So you're going to see a lot of games that are being created, new ones. Illuvium has been around for a couple of years, been trying to build this right from scratch as a blockchain game. And the key issue here is that the assets within the game you can own. And they're basically NFTs. So you're in the game, and when you purchase a sword or a vest or something or clothes or anything that you're going to use in your characters in the game, you now own these as NFTs. And what that means is that you can swap these out. You could sell these to other people, or you could take that asset, bring it out of the game, and just sell it on an open market. Something you couldn't do in traditional gaming. I mean, billions of dollars are spent in traditional gaming on game assets, but you can't do anything in those games. Those assets are locked into that game. With blockchain gaming and NFTs and this whole cryptocurrency version way of doing gaming, you now own all these assets. So this is becoming bigger and bigger. Illuvium's a great game. I'm not a gamer, but I am following this because I can now play these games, earn tokens, NFTs, that I can use to purchase land or different items in the game, and then I could sell them on the open market. I could trade them out for other cryptocurrencies. So it's really fascinating. It's just now taking hold. A lot of people believe this is a billions of dollars market that's coming online. So All right, so that's mostly it for today, but we've got to end with meme time. So these are some of my favorite memes. It's like, we are back and we are so back. And then, oh, maybe not. And this happened earlier this week when there was another false alarm that on Tuesday that the ETFs were okayed by the SEC. And then, nope, the SEC's Twitter got hacked. So this is how crypto's been a lot. It's like you're looking good, you're feeling happy, and then something happens and it goes down. But the good news is it always comes back. So next one is, again, this is like, if you want to take a little profits, there's always that little guy in the back that said, instead of taking profits, maybe we could 10x leverage that and we can stay in there. And this is what wrecks a lot of people. And like I always say in crypto, if you just don't lose your crypto, you can do really well. And so this is that little monster in the back that's always telling us to 10x, but you gotta be calm, gotta be cool. And of course, again, you could spend $100 on groceries, or you could spend $300 on meme coins. This is funny stuff. What I love about it is it's crypto making fun of itself because people have a lot of greed. We're at 76 in the fear and greed index, and people do stuff, not so smart stuff. And so we're kind of making fun of ourselves, and I think it's great. But that's the thing you got to remember in crypto. You got to get in early, and then once the market starts going up. So once Bitcoin starts really zipping up, it's probably not a great time to get in. Now is a good time to get in. Last year was a good time to get in. And you still have time because we're not even near the all-time high of 69 yet. So my guess is that before we get to 69, it's a good time to get in, and then we'll see how high it goes. But there's a point where when you get to that fear and greed index and you start to see that first chart that I showed that is green turning to yellow, turning orange, turning to red. At red, that's when you need to start getting out because right now this market is still very volatile. That may change as the years go by and we get more of these institutional organizations moving in here and we get more people accepting crypto and Bitcoin. That may even out, but for now, you got to watch it. Doesn't mean you have to day trade, watch charts all day. It just means you have to be paying attention that when nobody's talking about Bitcoin or crypto, that's what you want to get in. And so last month was a great time. Now there's still time because most people are just now starting to wake up to crypto and to Bitcoin and the possibility they can now invest in it through their broker. They don't have to go into a traditional Bitcoin exchange or an exchange and buy crypto and hold their own assets. Although I will say that still is the best way to do it because these ETF companies are going to charge you fees and you don't actually own the Bitcoin. So you take your cash, you invest it in this ETF. As the price of Bitcoin goes up, the price of that ETF goes up. If you want to sell it out and get some profits, you don't get the Bitcoin. You get it back out for cash, which is great, right? For a lot of people, they don't care about that. But if you really know how valuable Bitcoin is, and you know that it's going to continue to rise in value, it's like gold. So I never want to give up my Bitcoin, and I wouldn't use these ETFs because I already know and feel comfortable with buying crypto and holding it in my own wallet. That's the other thing that's important to know. When you buy crypto, what I consider the traditional crypto way, which is go through a crypto exchange your fiat in for crypto, and then buy or swap into the coins that you want, and then move those into your own wallet, which could be a thumb drive or a piece of software on your computer that holds your cryptocurrency coins, your cryptocurrency codes. No one can get to that. No one can steal it. There's no company to go bankrupt. But if you go through, say, a BlackRock ETF and you investing in Bitcoin that way through the ETF, if BlackRock goes under, and that would have to be like the whole financial system would have to crash, but it's very possible. They go bankrupt. You can't get your cash out. They hold it, not you. If you're in traditional crypto and you have Bitcoin or even stable coins that are 1-to-1 to a dollar, and they're in your own crypto wallet, they can't get to them. Nobody can get to them. So it's always better to actually buy and hold your own crypto, your own Bitcoin, but it's really good news because there's a lot of people that just aren't going to do it. They're never going to want to go through that hassle or go through the risk or whatever, and they want someone to hold their hand. And this is a great way to do it. And it's going to rise all of the asset prices in crypto. So we're all for it. I've got money in Bitcoin, so as the price rises, I'm a happy camper. So anyways, all right. Well, thank you for watching. That's all for this week in the Crypto Cowboy Show. So stay tuned. Remember, if you're not in Bitcoin yet, you still have time. So get in there. All right. So we'll see you next time. Bye for now.